What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a long time. We have not made a video on here since May 22nd. It is now, at the time of this recording, September 14th. Yeah. Talk about procrastination at its finest. That is me. I was working 7 days a week in the summer. Had to make that money. Inflation has skyrocketed. And that's what happens. I am a procrastinator, and clearly you've already seen that because I can't keep up with my own schedule on here, but we will get that right. A lot has happened. A lot has happened in the NFL. A lot has happened in the NHL. And the second part to the Sabres video is coming. We're working on that right now. I know. It's a long-anticipated second part to a franchise that I love that has also given me a brain aneurysm. But here we are. Week 1 of the NFL has come and gone already. And tomorrow, the Chargers and the Chiefs face off for Week 2, Thursday Night Football, which should be a dogfight between Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Can't wait to watch that one. That'll be a fun one for sure. And the Bills. Buffalo's 1-0, baby. 1-0. And that's how we like it. That's exactly what we wanted. And it was a fucking great start. Great fucking win. A statement win in Week 1 of the NFL against the defending Super Bowl champions at home in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. 31-10. And there were some turnovers in that game. But despite having turnovers, the Bills still won 31-10. I have not seen a team with that many turnovers and still able to fucking score that many points. Never ever, since I've been watching football since I was a kid, have I ever fucking seen that shit. That to me is crazy. That to me is crazy. Absurd, actually. Because you never see it. Like, when a team turns the ball over 4 times, usually 9 times out of fucking 10, they're not going to win that game. I mean, Joe Burrow had 6 turnovers. The team almost won that game, too. It wasn't because of Joe Burrow. I'll tell you that much. Josh Allen was still able to be a contributor, despite the fact that the Bills turned the ball over 4 times. I mean, it's just crazy. Let's get into some fucking stats here. So, Josh went 26 of 31 for 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. One was not his fault. He threw the ball to Isaiah McKenzie, and the ball ended up popping out after Isaiah made the catch. And then the second one was thrown to Jameson Crowder, which ended up being an interception. He also, Allen, had 10 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. Dude was an absolute dog, as Pat McAfee likes to say all the time. Fucking stiff-armed the one Rams defender. Josh Allen is just continuing where he left off in that Kansas City game. Just continuing where he left off. The Bills and the Chiefs are playing a completely different game of football right now. You cannot sit here and tell me they ain't. Because they are. The Bills had 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs, when they played Arizona, had 5 touchdowns. Right now, it is looking like it's Bills-Chiefs ball game. Obviously, it's just Week 1 of the NFL, and that is bound to change. Can't even say anything on the NFC, honestly. Stafford looked horrible. He played terrible. He was 29 of 41 for 240 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. The Rams had no running game, couldn't get anything going. Akers didn't do anything, and Henderson had 13 carries for 47 yards. Kupp, on the other hand, Kupp still had a fucking game, as he does, being the best receiver in the league right now. 13 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown. Still was an animal. Allen Robinson had nothing going for him. Stafford didn't even throw the ball to him. That's been like a meme right now. Rip for me. on fantasy football, along with any other Allen Robinson fantasy owners. Fucking L. But regardless, the Bills were able to capitalize despite the turnovers. I mean, Zach Moss had a fumble. James Cook on his first carry had a fumble, and I was mad about that, but other running backs, too, have had fumbles on their first carry and ended up being all right. So I'm not going to sit here and judge James Cook based off of one carry, but running backs got to hold on to the ball. Receivers got to catch the ball. It's simple. It's common fucking knowledge. You have to catch the ball, hold on to the ball, secure the ball, go down with it. Same thing with running backs. Even, whether you are catching out of the backfield or you're running the ball, you have to hold on to the ball and be effective with it and make sure you secure it and go down with it. Otherwise, the other team's going to get the ball back and score points, but the Bills are just so fucking good that it didn't even matter. I mean, even on defense, Jordan Phillips comes back after doing nothing in Arizona. Dude takes the bag and dips, comes back and is on fire like he never left from that 2019 season. Ed Oliver, he's hurt right now. We'll see what happens. Von Miller, though. Von Miller, a dog, like Pat McAfee likes to say. A dog. Dude was nuts. First game with the Bills, Von has 4 tackles and 2 sacks. Looked like he could have maybe even had more. I mean, he is an animal, and it is exactly what the Bills needed. And I am so happy this guy's on our team. Because I'll tell you what, the Rams were missing him. The Rams were missing him in that game. They were missing him, because him and Donald together was extremely effective, and he was a main contributor as to why the Rams won the Super Bowl that year. And you can't even tell me that's wrong. Because he sacked Joe Burrow on a crucial second or third down, I believe. And then the fucking Bengals had to punt and the Rams got the ball back. I mean, this guy was a main contributor on that Super Bowl roster. Now he comes over here, wants to win a 3rd ring with a 3rd team, first player to ever be able to fucking do it. And not only that, he said that he's going to be playing out his full contract. Hey, if he can do that on a nightly basis, have more than 4 tackles or more and 2 sacks a game, I'm fine with that. So far, it looks like Von's going to be alright. And I'm happy for that. Can't say enough about this team. I know it's week 1, but they just look unstoppable. Despite the turnovers. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. The turnovers were ugly. But it's the fact that not even turnovers can stop this team. Although there were some self-inflicting shit too, with penalties and shit. Seems like that, if you want to say like what would stop the Bills, obviously self-inflicting penalties and whatnot. It was a hell of a performance, and it was only the first game. Only the first game of the season. You can't go wrong with that. You can't. You really can't. Quarter 1, Allen throws a short right pass to Gabriel Davis for a gain of 26 yards, which ends up being a touchdown. Point by Tyler Bass is good. 7-0. Quarter 2. Field goal by Tyler Bass, 41 yards. Kick is good, 10-0. Quarter 2, 3 minutes to go. Matt Stafford throws a touchdown to Cooper Kupp, and that was a hell of a fucking good catch too. I couldn't even get mad about that, because it was just such a good catch by Cooper Kupp. And then at the end of the second quarter, Rams get a field goal, 57 yards is good, game's tied 10-10. Going into quarter 3, Josh Allen completes a short right pass to Isaiah McKenzie. Gain of 7 yards ends up being a touchdown. This is where Isaiah then says it's a boy. Gender reveal on a touchdown for his sister. W. Fucking straight W. Can't say enough about that. That was really cool. Later in the fourth quarter, Josh scrambles to the right for 4 yards for a touchdown. Tyler Bass extra point is good, 24-10. And then later on, with 9:25 left in the fourth quarter, Allen completes a deep right pass to Stephon Diggs for a gain of 53 yards and a touchdown. Ramsey burnt toast. Completely fucking burnt toast. Same guy that called Josh Allen trash. Same dude that called Josh Allen trash, and he keeps getting beat by Josh Allen. Obviously now Ramsey's like, he's a good quarterback, no question. He knows that now. Only took him, 3 fucking games to lose to realize that. But, yeah, he's not shit. He's not shit. I'm even still eating my words on the fact that I didn't want us to draft him. I'm still eating my words on that. I wanted Rosen or Baker. So, I'm still eating my fucking words on that. But, this was a really good game. I mean, obviously, like I said, the turnovers, not so good. Other than the turnovers and the self-inflicting penalties, I mean, the Bills can make up for that. It's going to be a fucking good year. That's all I can say. I mean, it's going to be a fucking crazy year. It's going to be a good year. I mean, this was a good game. It kept you in it. You were locked in. It was stressful. It was a good fucking game. It didn't even feel like a regular season game. It felt like a playoff game. It really did. It felt like a fucking playoff game. And honestly, watching us toy with them, it still makes me think like we should have been in the Super Bowl with these guys. Obviously, we wouldn't have Von. They would have Von Miller, but I just keep thinking about it all the time. Like, we should have been in that Super Bowl, man. We have a chance to go this year. We have a really good chance. And let's make sure we do it. Let's just make sure we do it. That's all I can say. This year, it's Super Bowl or bust for this team. There's nothing else. It's Super Bowl or bust. Just like last year. It's Super Bowl or bust. All right, moving on. We're going to go around the league a little bit here, and then we'll come back to the Bills. First up, 49ers at Bears. Complete monsoon of a game. 19-10, Bears win the football game. Like I said, it was a completely just torched field. I mean, the field was just puddles, and the turf was awful. They tried using squeegees to get rid of the water off the turf. It didn't matter. This game was a monsoon. Trey Lance didn't look that great. 13-28 for 164 yards and an interception. Justin Fields, he was 8 of 17 for 121 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but like 8 of 17. I mean, they could be better, Justin Fields. But I mean, at the same time, this guy, like, has no one to throw the ball to. I mean, Dante Pettis, Byron Pringle, Equanis, I don't even know how to say this dude's first name, St. Brown, the former Green Bay Packer. He has Darnell Mooney, you know, there's Cole Kmet, but he had 0 yards. I mean, you got to feel for Justin Fields a little bit. The guy has nobody to throw the ball to. But that was ugly for Trey Lance, and you can see why the 49ers kept Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. Next up, Patriots at Dolphins. And I don't know what it is, but I swear, every time the Patriots play the Dolphins, the Patriots just choke. Or like, Bill Belichick is just off. They're just off that day. Because I watched this game. This was a fucking boring game. This was a boring game. I mean, the Miami made some plays, but this was a boring game. New England just kept running the ball, given that Mac Jones was 21 of 30 for 213 yards, a touchdown, interception. But they really just kept running the ball. I would just watch them over and over again, just continue to run the ball. And if they threw short passes, but I mean, Jacoby Myers is the leading receiver with 4 receptions for 55 yards. They really have no number 1 receiver. I mean, Hunter Henry wasn't even effective either. 2 receptions for 20 yards. There was just nobody for New England to really be a threat downfield, because you have the Dolphins with Xavier Howard. I think Byron Jones was out, but you have a shutdown with Howard. I mean, Mac Jones isn't going to throw the ball his way. It was a mismatch. I mean, it really was a mismatch. And not only that, it was almost 100 degrees. Like, New England was sweating out there. Tua, he had 23 completions out of 33 for 270 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 8 receptions for 94 yards, and Tua kept throwing the ball to Tyreek. So, that's going to be something for the Bills when Tyreek comes to town. Or we go there, either or. Tua's going to throw the ball to Tyreek, and the Bills better be ready, because Tyreek's torched us in that secondary with Patrick Mahomes. Now, it is with Tua, though. Not Patrick Mahomes, it's with Tua. But Tyreek is still fast. Tyreek is still a threat. I'm going to trust that Bills defense, because Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, even Kyer Elam, Christian Benford, the rookies look good. Dane Jackson looks good in his 3rd year. I think we'll be all right, though. But Tyreek Hill is a force. He is. He's fast. He's agile. He's a weapon downfield. And not only that, you have Jalen Waddle, too. I mean, he only had 4 receptions for 69 yards, but fast. Chase Edmonds, fast. Raheem Mostert, fast. That's exactly what Mike McDaniel wants out of this offense. Coming from San Francisco, running that Kyle Shanahan-type offense, they want to be fast. And certainly they have the guys to do it. I personally don't think Tua's a threat. I really don't. I don't believe in Tua. I think if Miami gets a legit quarterback, there'll be a problem. But until then, with Tua, I'm not buying it. I'm just not going to buy it. Colts at Texans, this is a complete tie. And honestly, Colts look like garbage. They didn't score until the 4th quarter. First quarter, they had a field goal, and they didn't score for 2 quarters. How do you let the Texans get back in the game? second and third quarter, Texans scored 20 points. They end up tying the game. I never understood that with the NFL. Why are we still doing ties? Just let them play until somebody scores. Like, why do we need to do ties? Just so you know, nobody in the AFC South won this week. Nobody. Matt Ryan goes 32 of 50 for 352 yards, a touchdown, interception. Jonathan Taylor, 31 carries for 161 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Michael Pittman, 9 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. Texans, Davis Mills, 23 of 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rex Burkhead had 14 carries for 40 yards. All the eyes were on Dameon Pierce, but he only had 11 carries for 33 yards and no touchdowns, although he had 3 yards per carry. Not that great. Not a good performance by the rookie, but it's still just week 1. Brandon Cooks, 7 receptions for 82 yards. I just don't get how the Colts let the Texans back in this game. They did have some struggles kicking the ball. Blankenship just get fucking released, but I don't know. I would be concerned if I was a Colts fan right now, because Frank Reich is on the hot seat after that game in my eyes, because how you lose to the Texans is beyond me. I mean, I can't even say lose because it's a tie, but like that's just like insult to injury. You fucking tied. I mean, in my mind, that's still a fucking L. I mean, how can you do that with the Texans? Ravens at Jets. 24-9. Lamar Jackson, 17 of 30 for 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception. Now, Lamar has stopped contract talks with the Ravens. No contract negotiations whatsoever. He doesn't want to talk about it. The media keeps asking him about it. He's like, we're done talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. I've broke off negotiations. I'm moving on to Miami. And Lamar has no agent. Lamar is doing this all by himself. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what contract Lamar will get, whether it's with the Ravens or somebody through free agency. But it'll definitely be interesting to see how he negotiates his contract without an agent. He's a good runner, and he can make throws. I'm not saying he can't make throws, but if you leave Lamar Jackson in a pure passing situation, like in a crucial game where he can't run with the ball and he has to pass it, it hasn't really gone his way. It hasn't. He's a hell of an athlete. I'm not going to take that away from him. But every time Lamar is left in a pure passing situation, it doesn't go well for him. Now, given he had 213 yards and threw a couple dimes, but it was against the Jets. The Jets are trash. Although, I did like what the Jets did this offseason. I will give them that. I don't think Lamar is a bad football player. He needs to continue to work on throwing the ball down the field. He had some good, like I said, he had some dimes, but when it comes to pure passing situations, it doesn't go his way. Or even in the playoffs either. I still have yet to see Lamar Jackson have a really good playoff performance because I just haven't seen it. Jets, Joe Flacco threw the ball 59 times. 59 fucking times this guy threw the ball. And Joe Flacco is getting up there too. So, hats off to him for throwing the ball 59 times, but it's like, dude, damn. He threw 37 of 59 of those balls for 309 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Michael Carter had 10 carries for 60 yards. Corey Davis had 6 receptions for 77 yards. Garrett Wilson had 4 receptions for 52 yards. Elijah Moore had 5 receptions for 49 yards. And Michael Carter had 7 receptions for 40 yards while receiving. Mike LaFleur, the Jets offensive coordinator, said that Michael Carter is the heartbeat of this offense. So, we'll see just exactly how that goes. But Zach Wilson is practicing again from what I hear, but he's still going to be held out. And Joe Flacco's still going to be the starter going into week 2 here. Also, Robert Saleh is keeping receipts. Just pointing it out there. He's keeping receipts. So, we'll see how that goes. Because we also have receipts. Packers at Vikings. This was ugly if you were a Green Bay Packers fan. If you were a Vikings fan, you absolutely loved every bit of this game, and you didn't want it to end. Kevin O'Connell might as well have his own Super Bowl parade now for beating the rival Packers in his debut, because this was a really, really good first impression for a head coach. Probably, honestly, the best I've seen in a long time, unlike Nathaniel Hackett, who we'll get to later. To be a first-time head coach, playing against a rival that has beaten your team over and over and over again, because the Packers have just been taking the NFC North for years. You go out there, you make Rodgers have a miserable day, can't even get a touchdown, because Rodgers is missing Davante Adams right now, has no one to throw the ball to whatsoever, because Christian Watson missed a 75-yard dime right away, and pretty much after that, nothing went right for Green Bay. Absolutely nothing. Rodgers went 22 of 34 for 195 yards and an interception. Jordan Love came into the end of the game 4 of 5 for 65 yards because it was just, there was nothing left to do. Rodgers was miserable the whole day. Nothing went right for Green Bay. For Kirk Cousins, a good day, 23 of 32 for 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, 9 receptions, 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jefferson was just torching the Packers secondary, just making it a fucking brutal day for Green Bay. And Kevin O'Connell, coming into this Vikings system, he's more of a passing type. He's more of a guy who prefers to throw the ball, as where Mike Zimmer wanted to run the ball. Kevin O'Connell comes in, is changing up the offense, more of a passing type of guy. And it's already paying off for Justin Jefferson. It's paying off for Kirk Cousins, too. And they still were able to run the ball. 20 carries for 90 yards for Dalvin Cook. But, I mean, I definitely think that Kevin O'Connell switching to a passing-type offense is going to benefit this team. And just give him a couple years to build this Vikings team, and it looks like it's going to be fucking mean. But, yeah, we're only through week 1 here. But a great first impression for a first-time head coach coming out of the Sean McVay coaching tree. Next up, the AFC West showdown between the Raiders and the Chargers. Chargers win this one 24-19, down to the wire. Derek Carr had a chance to get back in this game, but he threw 3 picks throughout this whole game. He threw some bad fucking throws, and it cost him. I think Derek Carr tried to do way too much in this game. The Raiders had a chance to come back in this one. It just didn't work out. It just didn't go their way. Carr went 22 of 37 for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Josh Jacobs had only 10 carries for 57 yards, but he had 5.7 yards per carry, so I'm surprised Josh didn't get the ball a little more to run. Davante Adams, Raiders debut, 10 receptions, 141 yards, 1 touchdown. He was playing good out there, and Aaron Rodgers is definitely missing him because none of his receivers were able to do that against Minnesota. Chargers, Justin Herbert, 26 of 34, 279 yards and 3 touchdowns. This kid is just a fucking baller. I mean, he looks flawless out there. You can't stop this guy. I mean, Herbert, coming into the league, people had him written off too. And even me, I'm also eating my words. I didn't think Justin Herbert was going to work out because he didn't call cadence in Oregon. And that was a really big concern from him coming out of the 2020 draft. But it doesn't even matter. I mean, he's killing it. He's just brutalizing defenses. So good for him. Honestly, good for him. What a guy. Austin Eckler only had 14 carries for 36 yards. They kind of spread the ball out between their backfields. Sony Michel got a couple carries. Joshua Kelly got a couple plays. But Keenan Allen had 4 receptions for 66 yards. He got hurt, though, and he's been ruled out for the Thursday game against Kansas City. Justin Herbert was able to spread the ball out. He's able to get the ball out on time. They were able to run okay. I mean, it was a good game for the Chargers, I think. It really was. Gerald Everett, 3 receptions for 54 yards, but he looked good out there. So Gerald Everett will be a name to keep an eye on this year because he, despite having only 3 catches, he looked good out there. I was watching that game. He looked good. Eagles at Lions. This was a showdown, 38-35. I don't know. The Eagles almost let the Lions get back in this one. Detroit had the first touchdown in the first quarter. It was only 7-0. Then the Philadelphia Eagles put up 24 points in the second quarter, followed by 14 points in the third quarter. Lions got 2 touchdowns. 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then they got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Eagles had no touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but they were close, man. They were right there. They were pretty much a field goal away from tying the game. They could have gone to overtime. Dan Campbell's Lions look tough. They are one of the hardest working teams in the league, and it shows. They almost came back in this game, and they're building something in Detroit. They really are. Now, I don't think Jared Goff is their guy. He's certainly the bridge quarterback, but Detroit's building something because they're starting to look better and better with Dan Campbell. So, I mean, the record doesn't show, obviously, but you could just see it. You could see they're a hardworking team. You could see they're busting their asses, watching Hard Knocks. You could tell, Detroit versus everybody. And you could see that mentality. You could see them doing their best out there. And I certainly think Dan Campbell is doing a good job. But, I mean, if Dan Campbell doesn't work out as a fucking head coach, he could certainly be a motivational speaker because that guy knows how to get people fired up. Jalen Hurts in this game went 18 of 32 for 243 yards. No interceptions. Miles Sanders had 13 carries for 96 yards. Jalen Hurts ran the ball 17 times for 90 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Gainwell had 5 carries for 20 yards. I mean, effective backfield. Boston Scott had 4 carries for 10 yards and a touchdown, so it was a good day on the ground for Philly. A.J. Brown, 10 receptions for 155 yards. Good debut. And dumb move by the Titans for getting rid of this guy. This guy's a fucking animal on the field. Dallas Goedert had 3 receptions for 60 yards. Over here in the Lions, Jared Goff had 21 of 37 completions for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. DeAndre Swift, 15 carries for 144 yards, 1 touchdown. 9.6 yards per carry. What a fucking day for DeAndre Swift. And there was a lot of hype from him coming out. And now we're finally starting to see something going for DeAndre Swift. Because the Lions really haven't had a legit running back since probably Barry fucking Sanders. I mean, yeah, there was that stint with Reggie Bush, but the Lions haven't had anyone to really effectively run the ball with since Barry Sanders. So it's nice to see DeAndre Swift finally get going. And in Hard Knocks, they were really fucking hard on this guy. They were just grinding and just getting at him and getting in his face, being like, you gotta do this, and you gotta cut like this, you gotta run like that. Point being, they were just on him all the time, but you could see it's working. You could see them being hard on him is paying off, because he hasn't had a game like that, I don't think, since he's entered the league with Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 receptions for 64 yards. DJ Chark had 4 receptions for 52 yards and a touchdown. St. Brown also had a touchdown. Yes, if you didn't know, DJ Chark is on the Lions now. TJ Hawkinson, 4 receptions for 38 yards. DeAndre Swift also had 3 receptions for 31 yards. Detroit was right there, man. Detroit is coming, and even when Jameson Williams starts getting going in this offense, it's getting better, man. Detroit is going to be a team on the rise, I'm telling you, because they're a hard-working bunch, and when Jameson Williams gets healthy, they start adding more pieces. Their drafts are looking good. They got Penei Sewell last year. They're looking like they're building something, man. So the Lions are going to be good in a couple years. Steelers and Bengals. A fucking rivalry like always. If you haven't seen the picture by now, the picture of Ja'Marr Chase flipping off Minkah Fitzpatrick, that basically explains this rivalry to the fucking T. I mean, whenever the Steelers and Bengals play, there's always drama. It's always a crazy game. And that's exactly what happened to this one. This game went to overtime because nobody could fucking kick the ball because the Bengals long snapper gets hurt. They fucking block it, and that goes wide. And then Chris Boswell kicks it at one point, doesn't make the field goal, along with the Bengals kicker, Evan McPherson. He misses one. Nobody could kick. Nothing went right. Joe Burrow had 6 takeaways, like I said. He had 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. He did have 2 touchdowns and 338 yards, though. But this game was just all over the place for Cincinnati. Nothing really went right for Cincinnati. They had a touchdown at one point, but then didn't challenge it. I don't know why they didn't challenge it. It looked like it was a clear touchdown from Burrow to Chase, but I don't know. It's Zach Taylor. I mean, that's all I could really say, I guess. But Joe Mixon had 27 carries for 82 yards. Ja'Marr Chase had 10 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Boyd got hurt at one point, but he looks like he's okay. T. Higgins got hurt. I mean, I don't think T. Higgins is coming back. I think he had a concussion, but Tyler Boyd looks to be all right. But, I mean, nothing went right for the Bengals. Nothing went right for the Bengals. McPherson had the game on his foot, and then he kicked it with the laces open. I'm pretty sure. I mean, nothing went right for Cincinnati, and this stuff happens in Week 1. I mean, the Bills last year against Pittsburgh, they had the block punt, and the Steelers were just toying with the Bills' offensive line. I mean, nothing went right in that game either, and it's just that crazy Steelers luck that Mike Tomlin has. I just don't get it. But Mitchell Trubisky went 21 of 38 for 194 yards and a touchdown. Chase Claypool 6 carries for 36 yards on the ground. He also had 4 receptions for 18 yards. Najee Harris had 10 carries for 23 yards. He's hurt. He's dealing with a lingering injury, but he should be okay. Nothing to really worry about, I guess. TJ Watt did tear his pectoral muscle, so he'll be out for a couple weeks. So he's not going to be back for the Bills game. So that's good news for the Bills. But not so good news, obviously, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their number one playmaker on that defense. Freiermuth had 75 yards for 5 receptions. Deontay Johnson had 7 receptions for 55 yards. Hey, it usually comes down to the wire, you know. Pittsburgh just found a way to win it. You know, the Bengals missed that field goal, and then the Steelers missed the field goal. I mean, it just came down to whoever had the ball last, really. I mean, hell of a win for the Steelers, a hell of a fucking start to their season. Not so much for the Bengals, but I wouldn't count the Bengals out. I really wouldn't. I think they just need to keep going. Just move on to the next week. Short memory. Forget about it. Move on. And I'm sure they'll fucking be in the playoffs. I really wouldn't count the Bengals out. I still think they're gonna win that division. You gotta give credit where credit's due. I mean, Steelers found a way to pull it off, and that's all you could really say. It's just, it was a crazy game. It was fucked up, but they ended up winning the game, and it is what it is. Browns at Panthers. This was Baker Mayfield's quote-unquote revenge game. Wasn't really the way Baker Mayfield wanted it to go. But I will say, if the Browns weren't able to get that field goal off, maybe the Panthers could have won this game. Browns got that last second field goal because Jacoby Brissett drove down the field and won them the game. But what are you going to do? The one time that America didn't want the Cleveland Browns to win. The one time. They win. Gotta love it. Brissett went 18 of 34 for 147 yards and a touchdown. Nick Chubb, 22 carries for 141 yards. Kareem Hunt had 11 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones had 6 receptions for 60 yards. Amari Cooper in his debut didn't look that good, 3 receptions for 17 yards, but Jacoby Brissett's his quarterback. Not much you can really say there. Kareem Hunt had 4 receptions for 24 yards and a touchdown. Not a good day for Amari Cooper. Certainly not the numbers that he would put up when Jacoby Brissett's playing quarterback for you and not a starting quarterback like Deshaun Watson. You're not going to get that many yards. You're not going to be able to have the days you normally would have, like you had with Dak Prescott with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, Deshaun's a piece of shit. I'm not even going to get into it, but He's better than Brissett, obviously, but I don't even want to get into the Watson thing, but I don't want to get into it. When you have your backup quarterback playing, you're only going to get pretty much 3 receptions for 17 yards. Panthers, 16 of 27 for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for Baker Mayfield, 10 carries for 33 yards, and a touchdown for Christian McCaffrey, and he didn't get hurt. He did not get hurt. So that's a plus. Baker Mayfield had 5 carries for 6 yards and a touchdown. Robbie Anderson had 5 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. You sure you still want to keep talking all that shit, Robbie? Because it seems like Baker threw you the ball more than anybody else. Ian Thomas had 2 receptions. DJ Moore had only 3 receptions. Christian McCaffrey had 4 receptions. I mean, you sure you want to keep talking all that shit, Robbie? I'm just saying. But wasn't enough for the Panthers to get that win, unfortunately, with that last second field goal by the Browns. Which sucks because really wanted to see Baker win that revenge game, but just didn't go that way. Moving to the NFC South, New Orleans versus Atlanta, where was a 1-point differential. 27-26, Saints win the ball game. The Saints really played like shit. I mean, they really shouldn't have won this game, but the Falcons, being the Falcons, blew another lead. You know football's back when the Falcons blow a 4th quarter lead, because that is Atlanta Falcons football. Quoting Barry McCockner, you can never escape 28-3. I thought that was so funny when he said that. But I mean, how many more fucking leads does the Falcons have to blow for them to be like, maybe we should try something different? Maybe we shouldn't, I don't know, let them fucking come back in the fourth quarter. Like, how many more games does this franchise have to blow in the fourth quarter to be like, you know, maybe we should do something about it? I mean, the meme list is going to get too long. We're going to run out of room. Ugh, it's not a good look for that franchise. And I feel bad for their fans because that's got to be the most frustrating shit ever. Jameis Winston went 23 of 34 for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill had 4 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. And he only had 1 reception for 2 yards, but this guy's going to be all over the field for them now. So you'll see him rushing, receiving, shit. Maybe he'll even come in and play emergency quarterback. You never know with this guy. He's all over the field. He's just an athlete. Alvin Kamara had 9 carries for 31 yards. Mark Ingram had 4 carries for 22 yards. Jarvis Landry in his debut had 7 receptions for 114 yards. No touchdowns. Michael Thomas on his way back from injury, now that he's finally playing again, had 5 receptions for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he had 2 touchdowns, not as many yards as he probably would have wanted, but not a bad day for Michael Thomas getting 2 touchdowns. I just don't know how many more games this fucking team, the Falcons, can blow in the fourth quarter. I'm not even a fan and I get annoyed by that. Like, just hang in there, Falcons fans. Hopefully you'll figure it out. Just hang in there. Marcus Mariota as a starter again now, in his debut being the Atlanta Falcons starter, goes 20 of 33 for 215 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Cordero Patterson, the Swiss Army knife, goes 22 carries for 120 yards and 1 touchdown. Also had 3 receptions for 16 yards. Marcus Mariota had 12 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. Drake London in his debut had 5 receptions for 74 yards, and the rest of the Falcons receiving corps didn't really do anything. Kyle Pitts disappeared, 2 receptions, 19 yards, not going to cut it. But Falcons got to figure that shit out. They got to stop choking. I mean, it's just, at this point, it's just, I have no words because it's crazy. Been doing it since that Super Bowl. They've just been choking. It's unbelievable. Jacksonville at Washington, the Commanders now, as they're calling it. In this game, Carson Wentz's first action with the Washington Commanders, or as I like to call them, the Commies. In his first game, Carson Wentz went 27 of 41 for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions came off of him playing hero ball because that's his problem. Wentz loves to play hero ball instead of just taking the short, easy check down or just being like, you know what, I'm going to run it for a couple yards or, you know, just do whatever. He always plays hero ball and it eats him every time. It bites him in the ass every time. He had those 2 interceptions back to back and then Jacksonville was back in the game almost. I mean, you can't allow that. Hopefully Ron Rivera will get to him this time because this is Carson Wentz's last shot at being a legit star in the league. It didn't happen. It didn't work out in Philly. It didn't work out after 1 year in Indy. This is it, dude. Like, this is it. Washington better get it right now or you're never gonna get it right. You're just gonna end up being a backup, or maybe you'll not be a backup. Maybe no team's gonna want you if you can't keep getting along in the locker room. Like all these reports keep coming out from you being from Philly and Indy, and I even heard some stuff during training camp. So, but this is it, Carson. You better get it right. They're calling him Commander Carson now. So, Antonio Gibson had 14 carries for 58 yards. Curtis Samuel had 4 carries for 17 yards. It seems like a lot of teams are trying to do what the 49ers do with Deebo Samuel. That's what I'm starting to notice. Where they're having like the receiving running back. Like they're trying to like move these guys all over now. Antonio Gibson had 7 receptions for 72 yards. Terry McLaurin had 2 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. Curtis Samuel had 8 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown coming back from injury. That wasn't a bad day for him at all. Logan Thomas, former Bill, had 3 receptions for 45 yards. Jahan Dotson in his debut had 3 receptions for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not bad for the rookie. Trevor Lawrence had 275 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, going 24 of 42 attempts. James Robinson, coming back from an Achilles injury, had 11 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown, averaging 6 yards per carry, coming back from an Achilles injury. Props to him. Travis Etienne had only 4 receptions for, had only 4 carries for 47 yards. Christian Kirk had 6 receptions for 117 yards, no touchdowns in his debut with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zay Jones, former Bill, had 6 receptions for 65 yards in his debut. Marvin Jones, 4 receptions for 38 yards. Evan Ingram debut, 4 receptions for 28 yards. Etienne had 2 receptions for 18 yards out of the backfield for receiving, but Carson Wentz has to stop with that hero ball. They almost lost this game, but he got lucky. But if he keeps doing that hero ball, he'll certainly be out of there just like he left Indy. So, I bet Indianapolis fans are going crazy that he wins the game now against Jacksonville, unlike before, when he could have won the game with the Colts against Jacksonville to get a playoff spot. But, what do I know? Giants at Titans. The Giants win this game by 1 point because Randy Bullock missed the kick. Nobody could kick this week, apparently. Brian Daboll gets his first win for the New York Giants. First time the New York Giants are 500 since 2016. Crazy shit. Daniel Jones goes 17 of 21 for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Saquon Barkley, in his return from injury, 18 carries for 164 yards and 1 touchdown, averaging 9.1 yards per carry. If Saquon could keep this up, comeback player of the year, no question. Daniel Jones had 6 carries for 25 yards. Matt Breida, former Bill, had 5 carries for 24 yards. Kadarius Toney rushed for 2 carries for 23 yards. This is what I'm saying, that Deebo Samuel type shit everybody's trying to do now. Sterling Shepard had 2 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown. I think he got hurt again, but I didn't see anything on it. But I think he got hurt again. He was just coming back from injury too. Richie James had 5 receptions for 59 yards. Saquon Barkley, 6 receptions for 30 yards out of the backfield. Kenny Golladay, 2 receptions for 22 yards. That contract's looking really fucking bad. I cringe every time I see the Kenny Golladay contract. Reminds me of the Trent Murphy and Star Lotulelei contracts. Just cringe. I mean, Dave Gettleman is still torching that Giants franchise bit by bit with those contracts. Hopefully Daboll and Joe Schoen can get out of that shit, because that's just really bad. Really, really bad management skills. I don't know even what to call it. Contract negotiations, you know what I'm saying. It's a horrible contract. Ryan Tannehill went 20 of 33 for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 21 carries for 82 yards. He got rocked trying to get into the end zone. He got rocked. Derrick Henry got rocked. That was crazy. He got hit for once in his life. He got hit. But, listen, man. Titans are coming to town, and Derrick Henry's still a fucking force. I don't care that he got hit. The man is still a force. And the Bills got to be ready, because he's a fucking dog. He's a fighter. He's a runner. And he ain't going to go down without a fight. But I honestly think the Bills got this game. And I know I've said the last 2 years, but with the situations in 2020, we had to keep changing the game because of COVID. And then last year, Josh Allen had a slip on the fucking goal line, basically. But with the Bills being a passing team and adapting to what the league is now versus the Titans just running the ball like it's the fucking 70s and 80s, I think just the philosophy differences between these teams, I think the Bills having more of a better complete roster than the Titans. The Titans losing A.J. Brown, one of their best playmakers, if not their best playmaker, next to Derrick Henry. I mean, Treylon Burks didn't do much. He had 3 receptions for 55 yards. They didn't know A.J. Brown. Kyle Phillips was their best receiver, a slot receiver. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. 6 receptions for 66 yards, no touchdowns. Dontrell Hilliard had 2 touchdowns, and he's a running back. He had 3 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a running back, and he's doing better than the receivers. Again, it's just week 1, but I don't see how the Bills could really lose this game this time. I know the Titans have had our number, but this is it. I really think this is the fucking year we finally beat these guys, because there's no situations this time. This is home opener in Buffalo. It's going to be like 80 degrees. Monday Night Football, prime time. Long week to get ready for this game. I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to win this game, and coming out 2-0 against the Titans would really, really be good for us morality-wise. and of course in the standings later on. But I don't see the Titans beating us. I just don't think it's going to happen. Chiefs at Cardinals. Patrick Mahomes, doesn't matter that he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. I don't even think it would matter this guy didn't have Travis Kelce either. Mahomes is just Mahomes. He's good. He's good. 30 of 39 for 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Kansas City Chiefs came out of the gate early, put this game away early. Cardinals had no fucking chance. Cardinals had no chance. Cliff Kingsbury, the coaching staff, Murray, they all looked just lost. They had no chance against this team. Chiefs had a decent rushing attack. Isaiah Pacheco, I think that's how you say his last name, Pacheco, I'll get it right. 12 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown for the rookie. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 7 carries for 42 yards, no touchdowns. Jerick McKinnon had 4 carries for 22 yards, so they have a decent committee going on there. Now, nobody knew really who Mahomes is going to throw the ball to outside of Kelce. Obviously, Travis Kelce had 8 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster had 6 receptions for 79 yards. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had 4 receptions for 44 yards. Sky Moore, the rookie, had 1 reception for 30 yards. I think he got hurt. I don't know. I don't know. I know that Trent McDuffie got hurt. The Chiefs were upset about the Cardinals' turf, and that's why some of their players were getting hurt. Cardinals just really did not look good in this game. Kyler Murray had 22 of 34 completions for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 5 times for 29 yards. James Conner had 10 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Greg Dortch, the rookie, was the leading receiver with 7 receptions for 63 yards. Marquise Hollywood-Brown in his debut had 4 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. James Conner had 5 receptions for 29 yards out of the backfield. Zach Ertz, 2 receptions for 14 yards and a touchdown. It didn't really matter. I mean, like I said, they were just lost. I mean, Kansas City came out of the gate early, and it was pretty much done before it even started. It didn't even look like the Cardinals got off the bus. It was just a blowout by Kansas City, and a strong way to start the season. After last year, Kansas City got off to a slow start. So, good for the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football, the Bucks played the Cowboys, and what do you know? You know the NFL is back when we are forced to watch the Dallas Cowboys on primetime. God for fucking bid. Tom Brady goes 18 of 27 for 212 yards, 1 touchdown interception. Leonard Fournette, 21 carries for 127 yards. That's some vintage Leonard Fournette. This reminds me of Jacksonville. Mike Evans had 5 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown. Julio Jones' debut with the Bucks, 3 receptions for 69 yards. Nice. Chris Godwin, 3 receptions for 35 yards. He had a nice catch, but Chris Godwin got hurt again. He got hurt again. It's not going to help anyone in fantasy. I think it was a knee. Maybe his knee was bothering him again, or it was his hamstring. But he looked good out there coming back from that gruesome knee injury. I think it was his hamstring. I'm not sure. I don't remember off the top of my head. But Russell Gage's debut, 2 receptions for 13 yards. I think he's just their insurance blanket. Because I know Julio was, but now I think it's Russell Gage is their emergency blanket because Chris Godwin's hurt. You know, it wasn't the best game for Brady. Certainly wasn't the worst game for Brady. But the Bucs have trouble on that offensive line, just like Dallas does. And it seems like the Bucs are going to be relying on Leonard Fournette this year. I mean, they're still going to throw the ball, but it looks like the Bucs might be a running team this year. I don't think they want Brady to get hurt, and I think they want to get that ball out quick if they're going to throw it, but I think Leonard Fournette's going to be the main contributor for this Bucs offense this year. Dak Prescott had 14 completions out of 29 attempts for 134 yards and no touchdowns, interception. He got hurt. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Jerry Jones going to stick with Cooper Rush, but the Cowboys, it didn't even matter that Dak was in the game. It was just ugly. Nothing went right for Dallas. And I will say, despite the fact that it is Zeke Elliott, and he hasn't really been Zeke since 2016, his rookie year, he had 5.2 yards per carry on average. Despite only running it 10 times for 52 yards, they would have been better off just running the ball with Zeke Sunday night. But they didn't. They kept throwing the ball. And there were a couple... That Dak interception was ugly. He just hesitated before he did the pump fake, and then he threw it, and I just cringed seeing that throw, and he just threw it right into an interception. I was just like, that was just ugly. Cooper Rush went 7 of 13 for 64 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but it really didn't matter that Dak was out there. That team just looked done. just like the Cardinals, didn't get off the bus, was just non-existent. Nothing mattered. Nothing went right. Noah Brown was the leading receiver, 5 receptions for 68 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 2 receptions for 29 yards. Dalton Schultz had 7 receptions for 62 yards, but Dallas is in for a long season, and it's only week 2 now. This was week 1. This was the home opener, and after that playoff game against San Francisco and now this, I think Dallas just needs to do a full-on rebuild. Fire Mike McCarthy, stop hiring these Jerry Jones puppets, and just get some legit people in there. Get some legit football minds in there. Stop letting the family run it. Get a legit GM. Get a legit head coach. Like, I don't know, maybe try to get Sean Payton out of retirement or something, but like, what the Cowboys have been doing since Jimmy Johnson basically left, it just isn't working. Like, y'all gotta fucking get some legit people in there. But they're not going to, as long as Jerry Jones is there. You already know. But it's just frustrating because, like, no one likes Dallas, but Dallas has always had these really talented rosters, and they just can't do anything with them. And it's like, at some point, you got to think they're going to figure it out, and they just never do. It's just, and it sucks because it's like, at least you want to watch some good football. They're going to be forced to watch them in prime time, but you don't even get that. You don't even get that. It's just overhyped. You hear about them all week. They just shove Dallas Cowboys shit down your throat. It's just insufferable. Just insufferable. And finally, in the roundtable, we're talking about Monday Night Football. It was the Broncos at Seattle. Denver versus Seattle. A Super Bowl 48 rematch, if you want to call it that, but it was really Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. And right away, too, to start off his Broncos debut, his Broncos tenure. He went 29 completions out of 42 attempts for 340 yards and a touchdown. I'm going to say this right now. It seemed like the whole reason that Russell Wilson wanted to leave Seattle is because Pete Carroll wanted to run the ball, and he just wouldn't let Russ cook, and everyone was saying, let Russ cook, let Russ cook, let Russ cook. He leaves the Seahawks, joins the Broncos. Tell me why the Broncos were running the ball, it seemed, just as much as Seattle. Because looking at both of the rushing stats here for both teams, it's pretty much identical. I mean, what was the point of leaving Seattle if, like, Denver's doing the same thing? Like, hear me out. Melvin Gordon, 12 carries, 58 yards. Javonte Williams, 7 carries, 43 yards. Over here in Seattle, Rashad Penny, 12 carries, 60 yards. Geno Smith ran the ball for 6 times for 14 yards. Travis Homer had 1 carry for 2 yards. But, I mean, I felt like we were watching both teams play the same kind of football. And it seemed like Russ was just doing the same thing he did in Seattle. He would hand the ball off, he'd run, he'd get some good throws, but what was the point in leaving Seattle? I'm not saying that, Seattle and Denver are like the same team. Obviously they're not, but it's like, I felt like you were watching like the same thing happen. And it's like, what was the point? Like, what was the point in all that? Jerry Jeudy had 4 receptions for 102 yards and 1 touchdown. Looked like he was actually being a legit threaded wide receiver finally. Courtland Sutton had 4 receptions for 72 yards. Javonte Williams had 11 receptions for 65 yards out of the backfield. After that, it's pretty quiet for Denver, but Seattle, Geno Smith had 23 of 28 completions for 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rashad Penny, like I said, 12 carries, 60 yards. Will Disley had 3 receptions for 43 yards. Colby Parkinson had 2 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. Disley also had a touchdown. DK Metcalf had 7 receptions for 36 yards. Tyler Lockett had 3 receptions for 28 yards. Obviously not the same numbers we're used to seeing. Marquise Goodwin, Formerville, 2 receptions for 22 yards, no touchdowns. But when you have Geno Smith as your quarterback instead of Russell Wilson, obviously there's going to be a huge drop in numbers. But, like, I felt like I was watching the same thing. Because what was the point? Like, I just don't get it. Because it's like Denver was running the ball just as much as Seattle did when Russ was there. Like, he's not cooking. And Denver fumbled twice on the goal line. Like, what the fuck was that? And also, Nathaniel Hackett decides to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of go for it on 4th and 5 with Russ. You traded all those assets and picks to get Russ. And then not only that, you gave him an extension for, what, $235 million? And you're going to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of go for it on 4th and 5. Especially in today's league, where teams are now going for it more on 4th down. Analytics are suggesting you actually go for it on 4th down now instead of punt the ball away, because you're basically turning the ball over. Obviously, they didn't punt it, but it's becoming a 4-down league instead of just, oh, we're going to do 3 times and kick or punt the ball away. It's becoming a 4-down league now. Like, you have Russell Wilson, Super Bowl champion, Russell Wilson, Pro Bowler, Russell Wilson. I mean, has he won an MVP? No, but he's been a good quarterback for a long time in this league. Why would you not go for it on 4th and 5, especially for everything you gave up for him? And then Nathaniel Hackett's like, oh, well, looking back, we really should have done it. We should have went for it. Yeah, no shit, dumb fuck. He's always been conservative. He was a Bills offensive coordinator back in the day with Doug Marrone. He was in Jacksonville, he was the offensive coordinator. He was the Green Bay offensive coordinator. The only reason he got a job, just like Adam Gase, where Adam Gase became this hot head coaching candidate because he was with the Broncos with Peyton Manning. Same thing with Nathaniel Hackett in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He was the Aaron Rodgers whisperer. Denver originally wanted Aaron Rodgers. All the reports were talking about Rodgers going to Denver, and then that didn't happen, so they got the consolation prize in Russell Wilson. But just because you get the consolation prize in Russell Wilson doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it on 4th and 5. I would have gone for it on 4th and 5. Everybody would have. Like, 64-yard field goal? Listen, Brandon McManus has a boot of a leg. Don't get me wrong, but what the fuck, 64 yards? Bro, just try to win the game. It's the 4th quarter. Just try to win the fucking game. It's just inexcusable. And like I said, how Kevin O'Connell had the best debut I've seen from a head coach, Nathaniel Hackett had the worst first impression, worst debut as a head coach, I think, ever. Because, Broncos, let's ride. Like, we've been hearing about it all offseason. Let's ride. More like, let's fucking die. I mean, 64 yards? Inexcusable. Stupid. Fucking stupid. Just stupid. Ugh. I'm not even a Broncos fan and I'm getting mad about that. Stupid. Looking ahead to week 2, looks like there's going to be some good matchups. Like I said, the Chiefs are playing the Chargers Thursday night. That should be a good game. Bucks and Saints is always a good game. Bills and Titans Monday Night Football. Well, of course, we're stuck with Bears versus Packers Sunday Night Football, but Vikings and Eagles should be a good game Monday night as well. Dolphins and Ravens could be a good game, and if the Dolphins win, and the Bills win, it's 2-0 for the division, that'll be a good game week 3. So, got to keep an eye on Miami, too, this week. So, it'll be fun. It's just a long wait for the Titans game. Long wait for the Titans game. It's a long ways away. At least it's what it feels like. But it'll be a hell of a game. I'm excited. We're going to that game. I'll be there. Maybe I'll run into some of you guys if you guys are there. If you're a Bills fan, you want to be at this game. They were saying on the radio today, and it's true. If you're a Bills fan, you want to be at this game. You want to be at this Bills versus Titans game. Home opener. Bragging rights on the line. Stability in the division, stability in the conference, all this you want this. It's certainly going to be a good game, and I'm certainly ready for it. I know I've been away for a while, but this is like my little round table I'm doing. This is kind of like a fast summary just to like get back into things. Obviously, when we get into more of a rhythm again, I do plan on doing more detailed descriptions, but just let me know how this is. But like I said, that Sabres video is coming, the second part to it. Just like I said, it's going to take some time. I'm still working a lot, but we're going to work through this. We'll start fitting it in again. I would like to also get another headset, so eventually we could get more people on here. So hopefully some big things will be coming soon. But I know everyone's been asking me, where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? And, like, it's on me. Like I said, I've been procrastinating and shit. But I had a good summer. I had a great summer. I certainly hope you guys had a great summer. It was fun. I've been waiting for football. We've been waiting for football. And I figured, you know, what better way to reboot the podcast up than talk about football, considering it did just happen. But a lot of my viewers are mostly football right now. Hopefully, though, you guys could get into hockey by listening to some of my hockey stuff. We're gonna start rolling this bitch out again, and we're gonna, you know, hopefully get the subscriber count up one day and all that. But listen, man, I'm here to do this for fun, and hopefully you guys like to listen to it, and hopefully you guys like my content. But we're just gonna roll out and do the best we can, because that's all we can do. And hopefully I get into more of a rhythm with this again. That's just something I need to work on personally. My life is crazy and chaotic, and something I need to work on personally, but we'll get through it. This is just like a summary, a short roundtable, and I'm sure if you've watched the games and you've heard it all by now, you already know about it, but this is just like a short summary just to get back into things, and hopefully I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Go Bills, because I'll tell you what, man, it's going to be a hell of a fucking game. We're going to be here all season long. We're going to be here all season, all the way up to the Super Bowl, where hopefully the Buffalo Bills will be there. And let me tell you, man, if that happens, we'll be ready. But welcome back, everybody. Let's have a good season this year. And eventually hockey will be going again, too. So let's have a good season this year. Go Bills, go Sabres. See you in the next video.
But from the first drive on, we have seen the Buffalo Bills offense look very, very good. Only the turnovers really have stopped them here tonight.
4, Allen stepping up, and now floating it downfield, and Diggs is behind the secondary, stumbles, but brings it in. Buffalo touchdown. Stephon Diggs extends to a 3-score lead.
On the outside, that's Jalen Ramsey, and I think he was expecting, this is called a quarters coverage. I think he was going to expect some help by the inside safety and just simply let Diggs go right by him. I don't know if he was trying to guess that he was going to stop and come back to the boundary, but that was no contest. And there's only a handful of quarterbacks that can flick it like that far.
Audio Jungle.